So the carrying capacity is this dotted line right here. It is the amount of resources available in a specific area, and the population is dependent upon those resources. So right here, the resources are plentiful. They haven't even reached the carrying capacity. So in most cases, the population explodes or grows exponentially. That's a J-shaped curve. If the population exceeds the carrying capacity, that means there's too many people and not enough resources. You've hit overpopulation. If overpopulation, or if a population exceeds the carrying capacity, the only way for it to go is down. So the population is running out of resources. Here, we went below the carrying capacity. If Earth had a chance to regenerate the resources, the population has a chance to regenerate. If the resources were taken beyond return, the population will continue to decline. Is that not what happened with the deer? The deer's carrying capacity originally was 10,000. When they overgrazed, they deteriorated the land so severely, the carrying capacity became 4, I think, right? Is that correct? So that means a piece of land that used to hold 10,000 deer now can only hold 4,000. The carrying capacity was so deteriorated, it never had a chance to replenish. So populations can decline severely, or they can bounce back or recover. Oh. We already know resources is definitely the key. Now some factors or resources are density dependent and some are density independent.
Wait, what is
What that means is some populations depend on things in order to thrive or grow. Some things depend on a population. Okay? And then there's things that determine a population that it doesn't matter how many people are in it. So give me ideas of what's density dependent and what's density independent. What can change our population of this class and we're not dependent on it? Death or disease, okay? But disease is dependent on you.
So that would be.
So it would still be density dependent. So disease
Independent
goes here.
Could that be air? I mean air?
Air. Give me a better example.
Oxygen. I mean,
Well, you're dependent on oxygen.
we're dependent, but they're not. It's independent.
All your resources are dependent. Give me something that can wipe this population out and we're not dependent on it.
Poison.
A bomb. War.
Chemical warfare.
War. What else? What else can wipe a whole population and it's not the natural disasters? Good. And my last, density dependent, which at the end of the day, other organisms are resources. You need them to survive, but since you always forget, I put them there. Predation and competition are density dependent.
So do we put natural disaster?
Yes. To go back a little bit, when you study human population, not go back, but interpret countries, developing countries versus developed countries, incomes, ways of life, because it helps you understand population curves. So let's compare developed countries' incomes compared to developing. We're developed, developing would be like Africa. Tell me about our income compared to them. It's higher. We have high incomes.
Oh gosh. Oh, the next one's strong.
They have low incomes. All that came out in the video, thank you. And how about our social support system?
Strong.
Strong. Theirs is weak. Oh, whatever. There. And social support system, you have to really think about this. Education is a key contributor to population decline or decline in births. The more women went to school, the less children they had at a young age. When you stop having children at a young age, by the time you decide to have a child, you're going to consider very much having a second one. If you start at 35 having your first child, if you study medicine, you're going to wait till you graduate to have kids. Your chances of having 2 and 3 kids start to drop, okay? So women in general becoming part of the workforce or educated dropped birth rates. In less developed countries, there's very weak social systems. They don't go to school, they're not educated, so they just have a lot of kids. Industrial economy is what developed countries have, and agricultural economies is what developing have. We are growing slower than developing countries. We're growing slower, but our growth rate is still fast. I want you to remember that, because that's a test question. Developed countries are still growing. We grow exponentially, but we grow at a slower rate than developing countries, because our birth rates are significantly less than developing countries.